Hello YouTube and welcome to GrunfWorks. This is episode 93 of the Interplanetary Voyage of Exploration. And in previous episode we have successfully landed on Pole with REM-T and ejected back home to Kerbin. Or not ejected, but at least burnt enough to secure an ejection. Okay, so today we are actually launching the final step of the Duna interplanetary ship, and that is the SSTO launcher. So I'm now going and brooding through the list of my own candidates to be crewing the ship all the way up to Duna and hopefully at least some of them back. So with that in mind, I'm thinking about probably Phoenix, Kusta, maybe, I don't know. I have to check which ones are available, because some of them are currently on mission, and like Mr. Fister over here, and a couple more. So yes, time to go for the launch of the third component of the interplanetary ship, and that's the SSTO launcher. So, without further ado, let us go for launch. And as you can see already, it's proposing some crew, which I am not happy to oblige. I like to pick up my own crew. So, in the cupola module, we will have a pilot, which will be Kusta Kerman. So, and I want a total of crew of 5 going to Duna. Because of the remote tech requirement to be able to remote control the probe from there. So I will be posting 3 more Kerbals in total. So we have Bob Kerman as a scientist. Then we want to have, I'm thinking probably I'd like another pilot and a scientist and engineer, that's for sure. Varuk, I know, is an engineer. So, okay, Kusta's there. Okay, let's remove Bob. Rather than Bob, I can have Moomin Kerman, who is also a scientist. And then who else? Beside that scientist, since it's SSTO, I want to have a pilot, and that will be piloted by HMV Kerman, which leaves us the second SSTO to be piloted by, let's see, who do we have on offer? So, let me just see. Phoenix. Yeah, okay, so this would be like the YouTube subscribers crew going to Duna, I guess. Well, best of luck and Godspeed. Given my piloting, I'm hoping that you make it there, and I'm hoping that you make it back alive, and at least in one piece. Okay, so, yeah. Okay, so rather than Mark II crew cabin, I wanted to put another guy in Phoenix in the cockpit. Because, yeah. Okay, guys, are we go for launch? 3, 2, or we could just wait a little bit until we get the intercept. What can you do? Jump the gun a little bit. 3, 2, 1, launch and go! By the way, if you saw my Kerbal engineering episode, you know that I have tested this craft, and the reason why these SSTOs are so far back is aerodynamics. They have lots of wing surfaces which shift the center of lift. So when I was testing, I had a couple of failed launches when I had SSTOs on the top. I don't consider showing this because it doesn't merit, so maybe I'll show it in some future special episode like bloopers or something like that, but we'll see. Anyway, we are also using the SSTO's nukes to help out with pushing, because the delta V on this bugger isn't stellar. However, the good thing is that we only think I got only some motor that failed, which we will be able to repair later. No need for the abort sequence or anything that, but if you have seen it, you know that it has been tested, and both of the SSTOs have ejection seats, so if we needed, we could eject all 5 or all 4 Kerbals in a different ways. While we're getting here, we are also making sure to align the rendezvous with the interplanetary ship Kolonizer, and we have a burn of roughly 46 seconds. We can ditch the ejection system, we don't need it any longer. And just cruising up to the apoapsis and burning. I was thinking whether or not I should actually launch the SSTOs one per each, but then I would have to adjust them also for the atmospheric flight. This is actually not an SSTOs, these are actually Spaceplanes. So their primary mission varies, and as you will see, they're not exactly alike. We have the Discovery, which is an SSTO, the shorter one, the one that you are seeing at the moment. It only has cargo bay and a docking port, meaning it's intended to actually go down to the surface according to those parachutes of Duna, scout a good location, and ferry the crew to and back to the surface of Duna. We'll see how well it will be able to perform that task. The other spaceplane is actually a Voyager, and this Spaceplane's task is to ferry the crew between the Duna orbital station that we're hoping to make self-sufficient with this final launch of the interplanetary ship, and the low Kerbin orbit, so basically with our space station that we currently have here, our science station, I believe. So science station would also act as a transfer point between Duna and Kerbin. So starting the rendezvous dance and making sure that we align as well as we can, burning actually way more monoprop than I would like to admit. So I am a little bit concerned because we have a metric crap ton of thrusters, despite us having a fairly beefy amount of actual monoprop. I could have forgotten to put the monoprop on top of this launcher, which I guess is my bad. I should have thought about it. So yeah, we don't have a whole lot in terms of tanks, but yeah, we'll have to live with it. So I'm more using SAS and engine thrusters nowadays. Anyway, we are correctly aligned, so I'm opening the cargo bay, and as you can see, I'm making sure that I transfer all of the possible monoprop out of the ship, out of the launcher ship or ascent stage, and on to the SSTOs, or to the spaceplanes. So the idea would be to basically transfer the monoprop to the spaceplanes, which we did. Not a whole lot, but I'm hoping it should be at least enough to perform the docking maneuvers. Okay. Doing a little bit flippity flip, and while doing so, making sure that we are correctly aligned. Let's put some time acceleration so that we get closer to our interplanetary ship, and looking at that, our target speed is only 2 meters per second, which I don't believe will grant us the best rendezvous, but yeah, at some point we will actually need to burn towards the ship itself because, yeah, 6.2 meters per second in my book simply doesn't cut it. So we might need to go a little bit quicker, but let's see. We are passing the closest point, which is 2.2 kilometers, and actually that's giving me the heebie-jeebies, because I'm thinking I really want to burn towards this ship. And we need faster approach speed just to secure an encounter, because we are flying roughly the same orbit, but we are not approaching the ship. So yeah. Okay, now we are approaching and we can already see the silhouette. It's a big ship. And right now I'm already trying to determine the docking port that I do want to dock against. And at certain point I will be decoupling the Spaceplanes and I will be ditching this launcher stage. So as soon as we come as close as possible, I'm just stopping around roughly 1 meter per second to the target and just make a quick save for Kraken's sake. Rendezvous, and okay. So the next order of business would be to try and stop relative to the target. I'm trying to see if I can align without spending this little monoprop that we have left. I mean, it's little for this ship, it's quite big in terms of each SSTO, so rather than me using this ship to maneuver, I think I will be just taking out, I think it's not Phoenix, or I think it was Kusta here. Yeah. And putting him in a space plane, and let's go directly decouple the first one. Not a whole lot of monoprop, but still doable, and let us burn now towards the interplanetary ship and hopefully dock with it. I'm also making sure that I burn in the correct direction, flip the craft and get prepared for the docking maneuver. This is the SSTO, okay, screenshot, and this is SSTO Discovery, because it doesn't have a crew transport module. So this is the one where we actually want to position ourselves. So this is Spaceplane, and yeah, just making sure that it's named properly as we are approaching the interplanetary Duna ship. I have found the Clampotron docking port. Big shout out to the maker of the mod itself. Okay, and let's control from the docking port and starting doing the alignment. So I'm using the bottom docking port. In theory I could use the top one as well, but I figured design wise this would look much cooler, and if I flipped it on the other side I wouldn't be able to access the docking bay, or the service bay, which was something that I had originally planned for, because you will see a little bit later. Reaction wheel failure, of course. Hi dang it, and welcome to this ship. Please leave while you still have the time. Okay, approaching and making now small burns. I guess we will have more than enough monoprop to perform the docking. Despite that, I'm still trying to be sparing, and on this ship we have plenty of monoprop. We have like 3 huge tanks of monoprop, so okay. Good alignment, and 1 meter, and docked. Perfect! Ladies and gentlemen, our first spaceplane has docked. Let us immediately switch to the second one and perform. Let us quickly get out of here, decoupling, and Cool. Let's control from here and let us go towards the interplanetary Duna ship. Wonderful. Okay. Burning, burning, burning. Making sure that once again we align. This is the SSTO or Spaceplane Voyager. I'm not sure if I named it correctly, but that's something to be taken on later. It has the space total for 6 Kerbals, 2 in the cockpit and 4 in the Mark II passenger module. So it should have enough space to transfer all the crew, if necessary, back to Kerbin. Whether or not they would have enough snacks, I'm hoping for it. So we'll see. Okay, we will be going with this one on the bottom docking port just to ensure that we are properly aligned, and because also of the center of lift and center of thrust, because I am thinking whether or not I will use the SSTO or the Spaceplanes engines to help with the burn. And I've calculated that they add 0.3 of thrust to weight to the whole ship, so, which is actually not a little. So the ship's total thrust to weight with all engines turned on would be roughly 0.8, which, given the size of this ship, is pretty beefy. So yeah, because we would be burning with a total of 2, 4, 6 LVNs, 6 nukes and 1 big nuke. So yeah, I'm hoping for some decent thrust. Anyway, we are approaching. Beautiful screenshots, and let us just quickly align. By the way, guys, this is very much time accelerated. I was playing with 1 frames per second or 2 frames per second. So this is, I will be lying, it's maybe 2 to 3 frames per second, and this is like 8 times accelerated. So you're seeing this roughly 20 to 25 frames per second, which I think is kind of cool. And half a meter and docked. Beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you more or less the final ship. Pause for effect. Okay, that out of the way, we still have some more job to do. Given that this whole ship is relying on all of the engine thrusting, we want to definitely transfer some liquid fuel, organize and oxidizer, balance them between all the tanks, and also we want to make sure that we strut the things correctly. So I first disabled the plane's thrusters, and then I figured I might as well actually re-enable them, and I will be burning with all of them, but I have to make sure that I have correctly strutted everything. And when we are talking about strutting, we need to think about Kerbal attachment system. And this is why Discovery in its hold has, so as you can see, I was testing the thrust to weight, and its maximum thrust to weight for this ship is 0.83 when thrusting on all engines. So where was I? Oh yes, exactly. Discovery Spaceplane has in its cargo bay actual struts that will help keep this whole thing together. So with that in mind, let's open the cargo bay and let us make some attachments, shall we? Strut endpoint. I believe it's my man Kustha who is actually making the attachments. So dropping here. So one attachment, one strut endpoint goes on each side, and then we will be linking them together for those of you that aren't familiar with the Kerbal attachment system. So one here, one to the belly of the other, and link them. I'm not particularly caring that those are equally distributed. As long as they are linked, I think it should work fine. So, and I thought it would be kind of cool to do some, EVA that actually has a real and genuine purpose, as opposed to just, cosmetics. So, making sure that we strut everything together. Okay, one more strut to go to strut the lower part, and that strut endpoint would be going onto the IP Kolonizer ship's belly, somewhere around here, and let's link those two. Perfect. So that's the forward cockpits being linked, and I'm thinking I will, just for rigidity's sake, also be linking the plane's wings together. So top SSTO to bottom SSTO, and I think that should be well enough. We have the docking port as attachment point 1, we have the two wings as attachment points 2 and 3, and we have the... maybe I would consider somewhere towards the tail section one more, but I think that would be unnecessary. Okay, 1 out of 4 wing connection points. I'm sorry if it's a little bit janky, but what can you do? So, second, and this one will go under this SSTO's wing. Ow. Well, buddy, when I meant to use the head, I didn't mean quite literally, to bump. Okay, that's the first connection point, and then we have one more. 2 more strut endpoints to place, and then link them together, hopefully. So, one going here. Perfect. Also, I decided when I was already on the EVA, might as well make a couple of selfies. After all, what would be a mission such as this without cool looking pictures, right? Okay, and we have one more strut endpoint to connect here, and I think that should be pretty much it. Let's link it. And done. Awesome. Okay, with that thing being fixed, we actually, I believe, have now fixed most of the things that were bugging us. But yeah, so let's go in and close the cargo bay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Duna IP Kolonizer. Oh, and I forgot about the motor and reaction wheel that has failed. Okay, please go out and fix it. So, take some spares. And please go and fix the reaction wheels and the motor, I believe we have. So, one here. What do we have? Fixed reaction wheel, done. Reaction wheel repaired, and we have one more spare to take, and let's fix the reaction wheel here, which is just beside the nuclear power plant, because who doesn't want to be properly irradiated before the launch? Why not? Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is time to call it for the episode. Like if you like the episode, press subscribe for more KSP content that should be coming soon, and until next episode, thank you very much for watching. This is GrunfWorks signing off.